have two presentations today, so we do need to get started right away on time. So it's my pleasure to first introduce Sprih, who is co-advised by Andrew Gregory at Bowling Green State and locally by Michael Wimberly. And she'll be giving her PhD proposal seminar on the distribution, survival, and ecology of ringneck pheasants in South Dakota.
Thank you, Josh. Hi everyone, and good morning to all. Thank you so much for coming. My project is about pheasant ecology and agricultural landscape, and I'll be mostly looking after the distribution and survival, and what are the different factors that impact these two aspects of pheasants. So people in USA have long been trying to bring this species from China to USA, but it was finally in 1881 that a successful attempt was made and the population was established in the state of Oregon. Within a matter of few years, the population got established themselves in different parts of USA, whether it's the states of northeastern, Midwest states, states of northern southern plains, and Pacific coast. But among all these regions, there is a special place for South Dakota, or I would rather say, pheasant has a special place in South Dakota, which is also called the pheasant capital of the world. And the reasons are, the state is known to be home for about 7.5 million birds. According to a report by STGFP, in 2014, around 62,000 residents and 79,000 non-residents were involved in hunting this bird. They in total harvested around 1,200,000 pheasants that contributed to about $154.5 million to state's economy. If we just look at these numbers, they are pretty big, and that itself tells us how the bird is so important for the state of South Dakota. Now there are certain factors that affect pheasant population in the state, and that can be categorized into two main categories: habitat and weather conditions. Where habitat mostly guide their long-term population trend, weather conditions guide their short-term population trends. Pheasants mostly need three kinds of habitats: one, nesting, brood rearing, and overwinter survival. And we can say that these are three-legged stools. So if anyone gets tipped over, the population will decline. Apart from these, even though the pheasants are very sturdy species, the weather conditions play a huge role. I mean, if there is certain extreme weather conditions like wet spring or extreme drought or extreme snowfall, that can lead to a decline in pheasant population. Now coming to distribution of pheasants in South Dakota, it has been found to be mostly concentrated in the eastern part of state. As you can see in the map, that too in the central eastern part and southeastern map, in the southeastern part of the state. Now in last few years, the population has shown a decline. I mean, the state saw its modern day highs in late 2000 when there were around 1.54 million acres enrolled in CRP. But then population started declining, and that overlapped with a loss of around 1.84 million acres of CRP grassland, that too mostly due to conversion of those grasslands to crop fields. These decline also overlapped with some of the years which saw extreme weather conditions, whether it was a wet spring of 2013 or drought in 2012. Now having said all of these, we know how important the species is for the state, whether it's for just being a wildlife or obviously for contributing so much to the economy. And we need to understand certain few aspects about the pheasants so that in order to check the declining population and also to enhance their population in the state, we need to understand how does landscape heterogeneity affect the pheasant vital rates and their population viability. The research has shown that nesting habitat and brood rearing habitat are the two major population limiting factors of the species in the state. So we need to understand how the size, shape, arrangement of these two habitats further affect the population in the whole state. Also, in spite of the fact that chick also play a role in enhancing the population, till now there hasn't been any baseline estimate of chick survival in the state. So we need to understand that too, and also look into the different environmental factors that can impact those chick survival. Now through my research questions, I'll be mostly looking after three major questions. So we have seen that state of South Dakota is going some major land use changes. So we need to understand how does dynamic landscape processes, anthropogenic land uses, impact early life history aspects of pheasants. whether it's nest placement and survival, or whether it's chick survival. We also need to understand how the predator community, their distribution, and their abundance interact with landscape heterogeneity and further impact the whole population, whole survival of pheasant in the state. All of these will help me in understanding their spatial ecology and metapopulation dynamics and how further they interact with landscape heterogeneity and impact the population structure in the state. Now for my study area spans over an area of about 144 square miles, and that compromises of 4 adjacent townships in Beadle County. As you can see in the map, the rightmost 2 quadrants, Dearborn and Carlisle, belong to high grassland habitats. They have around 70 to 80% of grassland. That's a good quality habitat for pheasant. The left 2 quadrants, Vernon and Kellogg, they belong to low grassland habitat, that is low quality habitat for pheasants. So during this study, we'll try to understand how the different habitat structure decides the spatial distribution of pheasants in the study area. Now in order to accomplish all my research questions, the whole study has been divided into 6 main objectives. The first objective will be to estimate fecundity, which will help me in answering questions related to early life history and predator-prey dynamics. And in fecundity, I'll be mostly looking at nesting season survival, nesting rates, and spatial distribution of nest. My second objective will be to estimate chick survival rate and what are the different factors that impact those chick survival. And that will again help me answering the questions related to early life history and predator-prey dynamics. My third objective will be to identify the habitat used by pheasants and the chicks, or identify areas and different landscape attributes that are associated with the areas that lead to successful brood rearing and nesting females, and that will help me in answering questions related to early life history. My fourth objective will be about determining home range of female pheasants, mostly during the nesting season and brood rearing season, and I'll also be looking at the home range of broods. My fifth objective will be to estimate predator community, their abundance, distribution, how they interact with landscape heterogeneity, and further influence brood survival and nest survival in the study area. And finally, my last objective will be to do a hotspot analysis of the distribution of pheasant in the state, and that will help me in understanding their spatial ecology, how they interact with landscape heterogeneity in total, and how that decides or guides their metapopulation dynamics. Now, in order to accomplish all this objective, all these research questions, I'll be capturing almost 100 females between fall and winter, either through baiting and trapping or night spotlighting. At the time of each capture, I'll be tagging those females with either a GPS collar or a VHF collar, and their weight will be recorded. Once they have been captured, each female will be tracked about 3 to 5 times per week, using telemetry equipment via triangulation. And in case of any mortality, we'll try to identify their causes, which can range from maybe predation or exposures to extreme weather conditions or certain agricultural activity like mowing. Now, hen will be considered as a nesting if 3 successful locations are found to be at a distance of 15 meters. So once they are found to be nesting, and the radio telemetry will help us in finding out whether the pheasant is close to the nest or far away from the nest. So once they are far away, we'll locate the nest physically, determine their plus size. There is a technique called floating, which will help us in verifying the date when the incubation is started and also help us in estimating their hatch date. So different angle of eggs in the water will help us in deciding those 2 dates, when they were hatching or when the incubation is started. For broods, I'll be capturing about 40 of chicks, which are up to 2 weeks old. That will mostly be doing through night spotlighting. And once getting captured, I'll suture radio transmitters on their back and will track those chicks about 5 to 7 times per week till either they are surviving or radio transmitters are working. Now, in order to assess the microhabitat use by pheasants, I'll be measuring certain vegetation characteristics at nest sites, brood locations, one of the potentially used site and one non-used site. For vegetation characteristics, I'll be mostly looking after the percent canopy cover of grass, forbs, litter, bare ground. This I'll be doing through Darwin-Mann method. And I'll be using global pole to estimate the vertical obstruction reading and what is the height or overhead concealment of these vegetation features. Now for chicks, insects are found to be their primary diet, at least till they are 8 weeks old. And that plays a big role in their survival and in their future growth. So I'll be measuring their abundance of insects at brood locations, potentially use site and non-use site. This I'll be doing either through both pitfall traps and sweep nets. And the whole collected sample will help me in deciding their invertebrate biomass, number of invertebrates, and their composition in total. Now, apart from all these field collected data, I'll be also calculating landscape level metrics using FragStat around the buffered location of those nests or around their home range. I'll be mostly looking at the percent of landscape in habitat category, patch density, mean area of land cover patches of habitat category, number of patches, and landscape shape index. Now, during both these seasons, nesting season and brood rearing season, I'll be carrying out 4 different surveys for taking into account about the distribution, abundance, and composition of predators. So I'll be doing roadside survey for the raptors, scent station and camera traps for the carnivores, and cover boards method for the reptiles. Now, as you can see in the map shows the whole study area. The 6 red routes, those are the road surveys that we have decided for carrying out road surveys for raptors. They are 13 miles long and they are at around 5 miles distance from each other. The yellow lines are 1 mile transits which we'll be doing for scent station for carnivores. Each 1 mile transits have 10 scent stations which will be situated around 160 meters apart. And there are 18 those square symbols. These are the cover board mechanism which we'll be using for taking into account the reptiles distribution in the study area. Each of these cover board setup will have 4 different cover boards at a distance of 5 meter from a central point. During road survey for raptors, we'll be noting down the species that we identified, their gender, their age, what kind of activity they were involved in, while cover board and scent station method will mostly be looking after the species that came through that method. Now for analysis methods, I'll be using nest survival model and known fate model in program mark for estimating nesting season survival, brood rearing season survival, and chick survival. For calculating their home range, I'll be using fixed runner method in R. While resource selection functions will be calculated using logistic regression, and that will help me in identifying habitat use by these pheasants and their chicks. And I'll use hotspot analysis of RGIS for doing a hotspot analysis of the distribution of pheasants in South Dakota. Now, in order to summarize, the whole expectation is that through the study we'll be able to identify what are the landscape structures and how they influence pheasant vital rates and population viability, what are the ideal habitat conditions that we need to maximize population in the state. We are hoping to provide guidelines to identify or prioritize the landscape conditions which will enhance population viability on agricultural landscape in the state. Also, through the study, we are hoping to advance understanding on the spatial ecology and metapopulation dynamics of the species and how that further interact with landscape structure. And finally, we are hoping to understand the predator-prey dynamics, how that interacts with landscape composition configuration and further impacts pheasant population in the state. With that, thank you. Have any questions?
How are you going to get the data, Sprih, to do the whole state hotspot analysis?
Okay, for that we have data from SDGF people. So they are doing this pheasant brood route survey, and they have data for around 23 or 24 years now. So I have that data, and that whole hotspot analysis I'll be doing on that data. But my study will kind of validate whatever result I'll get through that analysis, because I'll be having the real-time data, which I'll be collecting.
Is there any effect of egg viability on the population, and how will you account for that? Would the eggs be fertile at the same rate year after year, or are there landscape factors that could affect the egg fertility?
As far as my knowledge is concerned, the research shows that almost every egg is a fertile. I mean, till now there hasn't been any effect on landscape, any effect of landscape changes on the fertility of eggs. So I'm not sure, I'm actually not sure, but all the eggs are found to be fertile. They're actually very fertile. Yeah.
And how many females do you have collared right now?
In total, I have 85. I call it 85, out of which 5 are dead and 3 are missing.
Okay.
So yeah, 77 is in the air. They're
Okay,
alive.
that's good.
How many are on VHF and how many on GPS? And have you been able to achieve your goal of 3 to 5 locations per week?
Oh yes, the locations we have actually achieved. That is taken care of. Out of 85 in total, I would say I have 75 in VHF and rest in GPS. This is the first field season, so we are keeping GPS numbers low because we are not pretty much sure about the reliability of those data because we are using it for the first time. So we are like, we'll see how the data will come and then we'll decide how to test it.
What kind of snakes eat pheasants? Is it pheasant eggs or pheasant chicks, or
What kind of what?
the reptile predators?
They mostly eat eggs. I have never come across any paper till now that has taken care of reptiles. So, we'll see, what they are eating. But one article was there which was talking about snake eating the eggs. But yeah, no research as such. No research paper I have came across.
Were they bull snakes, gopher snakes, or
Gopher,
snakes?
yeah.
A quick question. Early on, you showed a relationship between land and CRP and the pheasant population. I didn't see a relationship, and because there was a lot of land in CRP, there was a low. Where was it? Yeah, you have a lot of birds from 1993 to 2003, but not much. You have a few number of birds, but a high amount of CRP between 1993 and 2003. So I'm not sure I understand the relationship there. Granted, CRP has declined, but it was high early, so.
From 2006 to 2000.
No, from 1993 to 2015, there's no relationship. And I was just wondering if you could explain that.
No, not pretty much.
Okay.
Charlie, I have some other graphs that help explain this too. But part of it is due to the change in the ranking, the EBI index on how they classified or where they put out CRP on the landscape. So initially there, where there's a lot of CRP, it's West River where we don't have pheasants.
Oh.
So that's why pheasant, you don't see the high trend
Okay.
in the population because there were no pheasants there to respond.
Okay.
So.
All right.
If there are any questions from the remote folks, we can go ahead and take them.
Are you taking volunteers?
Yeah, I will use some hands. Soon we'll be going out and capturing more pheasants through 9 spotlighted. So we need more hands all the time.
Okay, let's thank Sprih one more time.